So I'm doing the spur of the moment here. Bear with me. I think I'm going to call this baseline. And the thing is, I believe those who are in the military, veterans who've been deployed twice, people who struggle with PTSD, other things where they struggle with, I wouldn't say like mood changes or swings or anything like that, but that's definitely a part of it. Since depression's in my life that I have not been able to yet remove or simply refocus to the point where it's not in my life to a high degree, I have to reset myself. And as such, I had a very good conversation with a friend of mine that pretty much sparked this idea a couple of minutes ago. I know I have to reset myself, refocus, and basically like when I wake up I have to come back to where I used to be, but it just takes a little bit longer. And it's interesting to note that whenever I go to the Bible study, I'm always groggy and I'm always trying to wake up, partly because I don't get a lot of sleep on Tuesdays. I believe I'm attacked on a spiritual level on Tuesdays. Like, they're literally my worst day because of the sheer difficulty it is in getting to Bible study. Just waking up is hard. Getting there on time, impossible. Getting there at all, well, I'll do what I can. There's a very important point that I've never heard before that I don't take credit for that I heard tonight. And that is simply waking up with something that can give you more joy, something that you can focus on. And I never actually thought of that. I go to sleep with peaceful and calm music, or at least that's what I use to try to help me out. There's other steps to take to try to actually get a good night's sleep. Taking the sleeping aid, that's one. Obviously avoiding sugars and foods or right before you go to sleep. Yeah, that's the second one. Avoiding caffeine would fall into that category. You know, you're just avoiding certain substances. Now, I need to speed up a little bit here, passing this vehicle. So, waking up and having something to be joyful about, to be happy, to be thankful for, you know? And as far as let me take a step back. As far as veterans go, there are those who are like in the Vietnam and they're older now, but there are those who are like Iraqi and Afghanistan veterans. I've never been to Afghanistan, so I can't necessarily point that out. You know, I can't point much out there except for what other people have said, their own experiences, all of that. So for me, the point I'm trying to get at is the loss, the situations were different, so the loss is going to be presented differently. And according to one of the guys there, he had a Vietnam buddy, and basically one of the places, some of the bases that they were at, they're not safe, but they knew that whenever they're coming back from a mission, they were heading towards quote-unquote safety, to a safer area. And it took me a minute to reflect on that, because I was like, well, that's not relatable to me at all with my experience. You're going outside the wire and you're coming back, yeah, that can be, but that was not my job. A lot of the issues and problems for me were actually inside the unit itself, not tied with the local nationals directly. I did work with them for a very, very short amount of time, yes, but no, that was not really a concern of mine outside of like snipers and anyone. Since I was checking the gates for the large majority of my first deployment, you got snipers and you got people who were sending explosives either in vehicles or strapped to women and children to the gates. Now, I believe the women and children were, for at least, I was in Air Ramadi for my first deployment, so I think the explosives would have gone to a different. I think women and children would be going to other areas, not the entrances to the military bases or whatever. Like, because I never saw them at all. It was only vehicles, is what I ever saw as far as my first deployment is concerned. So, as far as that goes, slightly different right there. I want to say, pointing out that having things to be thankful for is crucial, and having things to be joyful for is also crucial, but there are differences between the two. Joy is something that can set up your entire day. Being thankful really helps out in that regards. Now, explaining the differences between the two is actually something I'm bad at. I could try, but I would actually need to look it up, and I'll need to do a comparison, and I can't do that while I'm driving, unfortunately. But it's one important note that I wanted to bring up because I never heard this before that may help others out there. As it is, for someone like me, this is incredibly important. Just because our baseline is lower than most others. You know, we start at a lower position, and it takes longer to work back up to whatever would be considered to be normal. Normal, healthy, there's another word. Something where we're not struggling, you know? And I know some people just say, hey, you gotta push through with hard work. That's something you could do, sure. I'm not sure if that's necessarily healthier, though. You know, something that's better. Hard work and force, they can get you out of a lot of situations, but they can also get you into a lot of situations. Now, since this is a consistent issue or problem or whatever, brute force just tires you out more. It just tires you out since this is a daily thing. So you may not want to be using brute force. And on top of that, there's consequences and things going sideways. We're not perfect. We're faulty. You know, you want to take certain things into consideration, especially if you're waking up and you have a family and, you know, a wife and kids. There's just certain things you really cannot afford the older you get. Well, that's it. I want to thank you for listening. I hope this was helpful to you. All right.